Hello, this is Nick from the Nickscast reporting on a very different note. I'm currently ascending a bunch of stairs on my way to the top of Montreal. I don't know how many stairs I'm going to have to go up. We're going to see. It's kind of hard to walk and record at the same time. See if we can get something at the top of these stairs. I'm not sure if I'm out of shape or just everyone's bad at stairs. I remember reading something that everyone's bad at stairs, but it doesn't it doesn't mean I'm not out of shape. Hello everyone and welcome to our continuing coverage of OtakuThon. I am not at OtakuThon right now. I am actually standing on top of a mountain. Or not on top of, I'm near the top of a mountain. It's a long way to the mountain and I've got other things to do today, like catch a flight, so too bad. Not going to the top. There's a lot of stairs to get up here. In a continuing tradition of trying to keep things short, I'm going to try to do exactly that and cut straight to, the important parts of OtakuThon. If you've been watching the coverage so far and you're still on the fence, here are some reasons why you should come to OtakuThon. One reason that you should go to OtakuThon is it's very anime-centric, and that may seem pretty straightforward considering it's titled OtakuThon, but a lot of anime conventions have kind of branched out. Speaking of Anime North in particular, it's very broad. It's not as anime-specific as one would expect, and I found that OtakuThon was quite a bit more directed in that sense, mostly in the sense that there wasn't a ton of unrelated programming. There was still a lot of non-anime programming, but it was a lot more focused, I guess, is a concise way to say it. Montreal is a really cool city. You can see from the giant cityscape behind me that, there's a lot to explore. A part that I don't have any footage of is actually Old Montreal, which is this beautiful cobblestone path and a bunch of old buildings, and the city has gone to efforts to preserve that, and that's really cool. You should go to OtakuThon because there are a ton of things going on. There are game shows, there are guests, there are panels, there are workshops, there's a whole thing on gunplay. One of the things that I didn't get the chance to go to at all this weekend was any of the World Cosplay Summit coverage. And that just sounds really amazing because at all the different conventions we've been to, there's been cosplay, but like the World Cosplay Summit? I don't know. I didn't get the chance to check any of it out, and I guess I won't until at least next year. We'll find out on that. This is a subtle difference, and it could be because of me being an Anglophone. I think Anglophone is English speaker. I'm bad at English, so that's not a great start. But one of the things that's different about OtakuThon compared to many of the other conventions that I've gone to as well is that OtakuThon takes place in Montreal, Quebec, which means there is a lot of personnes bilinguelles and a lot of me speaking bad French. Bonjour, je suis Nick T, ou, en la province de Québec, Nick T. Aujourd'hui, je suis à le Congrès du Palais, en Montréal, Québec. Je suis à OtakuThon. Et c'est très bon. It's interesting because it's still Canada, but it's a little bit different. And it's different going to a panel and going to some of the game shows and having there be some English and some French and being able to understand some of it, but not all of it, and sometimes just going along with it. And that could be scary in other circumstances, but it was fun. It was just interesting to have that slight cultural difference, and yeah, it was a good time. One of the other interesting things about OtakuThon is it has a lot of interesting, unique programming that I have not seen anywhere else. I sat for an hour and a half in a room with a whole bunch of other people watching something called Turnabout, which was like a combination of Phoenix Wright and Pokemon.
Marco! Prepare for trouble! Truth and love.
To extend our reach to the stars above.
Jesse!
Jane. Surrender now, we're prepared to fight.
Oh, that's right! This explains a lot of things.
Phoenix Wright. It's very hilarious. I'm hoping that some of the clips are going to make it up to YouTube eventually. I'm not going to spoil it. There's also events like Cosplay RPG Battle, which I hadn't seen anywhere, where you stand in a Final Fantasy style RPG setup. You have like limited numbers of commands based on your class, and you kind of choose which ones to attack with, etc. And there's actually stats, and those weren't super important, but people try to act it out and have a good time.
Resume! McCree! I use blank. Go to that roll. McCree means business, and we'll dodge attacks for a while with that amazing roll.
Another reason to come to OtakuThon is the Congrès du Palais is just a really cool space. Lots of escalators, a lot of open spaces. There's a bunch of multicolored glass, lots of spots to take amazing photos. You're not far from like Montreal in general, so there's lots to take photos out there. Yeah, it's just a cool building. Just go check it out. If you're in Montreal, go check out the Congrès du Palais. If, of course, you're on the fence about OtakuThon and you want reasons not to go because you're a jerk, I don't know. Also, maybe you have budget constraints. I don't know what your limitations are. But maybe you are looking for reasons that are you shouldn't go, or things that to look out for, or just, you just want the other side of things. And as usual, this list is quite short. If you cannot stand non-Anglophone content, you are out of luck, sadly. There were many panels that were fortunately offered. There were many panels that were fortunately offered at one time in English and another time in French, or programs presented both in English and French, like the Burlesque Geek burlesque show that was on Friday. That was, sometimes there were some jokes in French and some in English, and they weren't always the same, but that's okay, because it was still a good time. But if you can't stand that kind of thing, then don't come here, because you're in Montreal. I was very fortunate that pretty much everybody that I encountered speaks English and French, so I didn't have to feel left out. Sometimes there were French conversations, French only, but that was okay, because I was having a good time. It was a good time. But if you can't stand that, don't come here. But you should come here, because it's fine. Don't worry about that crap. If you're not near Montreal, I could understand why you wouldn't want to come. That being said, a lot of people that I've met at the convention came from Massachusetts, Vermont. I came as far as southwestern Ontario. Many of the people, though, are Montreal natives, and that makes sense. So if you're not near Montreal, don't feel left out, but it's a really cool thing. You should check it out at least once. Another question that's not the most important indicator of whether or not you should come or not, but the question to me is, would you come back again? And I absolutely would. I don't know where I'd rank this convention compared to some of the other ones. It's been a lot of fun. Unfortunately for me, there's been a lot of double bookings, so I had to choose between going to A or B, and then there's gaps, but that happens at some conventions. And there is a lot of programming. There's 4 pages per day of gaming, board gaming, video gaming, panels, workshops, game stuff, all sorts of things going on. I would definitely come back again. I'm hoping to come back again next year with some of the fellow Nickscast crew members, or maybe some of the new friends that I met here at OtakuThon. I definitely don't want to forget to give a shout out to all the cool people that I met this weekend, or the cool people that I got to hang out with, because you are awesome, and you deserve to be recognized for that, because you're awesome. So, you know it. But to call out some specific people, Jen and Max for wandering around with me in the dealer's room yesterday after a random encounter at the Tim Hortons. That was really cool. Thank you for hanging out with me. Shout out to Julie, Luke, Brian, Guillaume, Sam, Elise, and Draguin. I'm really sorry about some of those French names. I'm trying my best here. Thank you for taking me out to dinner, or letting me tag along for dinner. That was really cool. I'm not from here, and it was just neat to hang out with some new friends. Also, shout out to Rafi, Jerry, Wally, Cody, Kayla, Brooke, Abe. Amazing room party, or just fun times hanging out with people that I don't know. Bunch of cool Americans. I hope to run into you at future cons. Hopefully you're at some that are not just OtakuThon. Maybe I'll make my way to the States. Who knows? It was really cool hanging out last night. By going on this trip alone, solo, I feel like I've really come to appreciate a lot of the work that the people that I work with do. I really appreciate that G may not appreciate being being in front of the camera, but is glad to run behind the camera, because doing this solo all weekend is a lot of work. Right now I'm just like holding up this monopod. It's hard. Can't get some dynamic shots, and it's just way easier having another person there to help you out. And so, G, I really appreciate you being the Nickscast's cameraman. I'm obviously not at the point where I'm editing, but Z, I appreciate that you edit the audio every week for our podcast, because man, that is a lot of work too. And I'm going to know a little bit about that when I edit this video in a different way. There's been a lot of learning this weekend, and I hope that as I continue to go to other cons, there'll be a lot more learning and hopefully a lot less solo travel. It's still fun to go with friends. Well, I'm less likely to make new friends when I go with old friends, but you know, there's a balance. If you like this video, if you like the content that you've seen from the Nickscast, our podcast, Let's Plays, etc., everything on our YouTube page, all of that jazz, you can support us on Patreon. Check out patreon.com/the Nickscast. You might even be able to help us come to Montreal next year. Wouldn't that be cool? To be at the little end of this video saying thanks to you, person name, for helping us get to Montreal a second time. We did it. Because of you. We did it. That could be future you. Or that could be future me talking to future you from here. A year in the future. But yeah, check that out. Patreon.com/the Nickscast. You can help support the Nickscast. Even as little as $1 a month really helps us to produce more amazing content and get the fan's eye view and bring it to you. Yeah. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed watching this. Check out some of these other videos, and I will see you at the next convention. Until then, stay tuned.